Wrestling with Faith.
Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Faith, where we have the opportunity to take two things that we love, professional wrestling and theology. We put them together. We have a special guest here, Morgan Dash. He is a man of faith. He's a professional wrestler, and he's working on a very special project with Free Flow Wrestling, and that's coming up here in the near future. So, Morgan, why don't we start about you and your personal journey here in professional wrestling, kind of your walk as a professional wrestler?
Alrighty, yeah, for sure, let's do it.
So, how long have you been in the business wrestling professionally, and kind of what inspired you to get in the ring?
So I've been wrestling for 6 years now.
Okay.
I started in 2020 at 14, and I'm now 20. Uh, so what really inspired me besides growing up, being into wrestling, doing backyard wrestling and things like that. Um, During COVID, had I'd kind of shied away from wrestling because I'd gone back to school. I was homeschooled at this time. So I'd gone back to school. And so all that, football and school wrestling, I was doing those things. And so the pandemic era comes and I'm watching like 2000s Ring of Honor, just indie wrestling, PWG, Battle of Los Angeles stuff. And I'm just like, man, I was
Yeah.
like, this is epic. I want to get back into this. And then Will Ospreay, okay? I see him versus Rey Mysterio, and then of course the Ricochet matches. And yeah, I was just like, yeah, I'm getting back into wrestling, and I'm
That's
gonna do all the crazy high flying stuff. That was
yeah,
it.
that's amazing. Because you hear a lot of the old schoolers, they kind of take shots at Ricochet. They take shots at Will Ospreay.
Oh yeah,
And on
man.
the flip side, they're the guys inspiring the next generation. And so that's great to hear. Interestingly enough, I was actually homeschooled from the sixth grade until I graduated, and I stopped wrestling the year you started. So.
Wow.
So parallels. So, how about your faith journey? Were you raised in the faith, or is that something you found along the way?
So I uh I grew up kind of believing. I grew up Baptist, going to a Baptist church and stuff like that.
Sure.
So, I guess you could say I had this preconditioning that I've had thrown around at me a few times. But it wasn't until like quite recently, as of last September, when I got, saved. It is.
Okay.
So I guess you would say when I really became a Christian. Um, so yeah, I mean, I would say all my life I've always had that belief and stuff, but I'd never actually took the step of faith until, being 19 years old, man. Just the thing, for 18 years, it was like I was running, and it
Yeah.
was
Well, I mean, they're different things though, belief and faith, and I think a lot of us
absolutely.
we're raised in the belief,
Yep.
right? And we get a lot of the knowledge kind of presented to us, but faith is a different walk.
Yep.
Faith is more of a commitment to it, and I think you'll find that as you do your faith walk, you're going to read the scriptures differently, and then you're going to dig even deeper into the context and the history of it. You get a
Yeah.
different passion for it,
Yeah.
for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that's true, because beforehand it was like, if I was gonna like read the Bible or anything, it wasn't really important to me, you know. But
Right.
then after the experience I had during that time, after that happened, I was just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna pursue uh this God, and I'm going to give it my all with it. Like, I was obsessed after that. So yeah.
Okay. Well, definitely love that. I respect that. It is. I think just an interesting trend because we see a lot of young believers coming to the faith as of
Yes.
just the past 2 or 3 years, really.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's it's interesting to speak to the next generation, right? Because you said you're what, like 19 right now?
I'm
20.
20. Yeah.
You
I'll
so
be
you're 20.
21 this November. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're the young generation, and
Yeah.
that's important because your faith is it's it I think it's going to be challenged more so than most of the generations prior to you with
Absolutely.
seeing the different trends that come into place. So, God bless you
Yeah.
for being a warrior on that front. Not only are you a warrior on that front, but you're working on something special. We had talked a little bit about free flow wrestling, which is coming up here in the very near future. And I definitely want to give you a little opportunity to talk about that. I'm a big believer in supporting the independence of professional wrestling. I'm not the kind of guy that thinks you need to take shots at the big leagues to support the indies,
Right.
but I don't
Right.
think that the big leagues exist without the indies. And
Yep.
I am a big believer in supporting the new upcoming projects. And I would definitely like to share what you guys are cooking up, what makes you different, what is going to make you guys stand out, and what are you excited about?
But, yeah, excited about all of it, really. So as of recently, we've been kind of just putting up some of the teasers that we worked on, and we posted our main video on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, X, all over. We've posted this. Um, but there's more to be announced, like the dates, the flyers, the location, talent announcements, a bunch more. But I guess what really inspired this is I feel like there's a lot of underrated, unseen talent that there's a lot of them that are straight out of Among the panel, man. Like just so many characters, and
Okay.
not only characters but workers as well. And it's like you see these people and you're like, how are they not booked? How do they have no platform? You see matches that would sell tickets and you're like, why is this not booked? And I'm like, you know what? If nowhere else is going to do it, I'll give these people a place to myself. And so I sat up out of bed one day, one morning, you know, and I was like, you know what, screw it. Today's the day. We're going to start getting it ready. We start putting it together. And so that's how it started. And the inspiration was from, you know, that I guess that nostalgic era from like the 2000s. So something I like to tell people, we're trying to bring a new taste of nostalgia from like the indies from PWG and Dragon Gate USA from the
Yeah.
2000s era and mix that up with the underground grungy vibe of anime like Samurai Champloo and well this ain't really anime but the Boondocks, things like that to kind of give it that unique aesthetic. It's still all coming together currently, but you know, that's sort of the inspiration.
Yeah, it's I only smile and chuckle a little bit because you're talking about the era I wrestled in, and so when you talk about it being nostalgic, it hits in a different place when you're 43. But I totally get what you're talking about because I I got into professional wrestling around 2002, and then kind of got more and more progressively in it over the time. But then, you had all those guys, the Kevin Steens that are now the Kevin
Right.
Owens. You had the Tyler Blacks that became the Seth Rollins, El Generico, and all that. And
Mhm.
now they're big giant superstars. But back in
Oh
the day,
yeah.
they were just hungry workhorses, just
Yep.
like yourself, trying to get a spot. And yeah, I appreciate that you're tapping into something as far as pop culture is concerned. And I think that anime and manga and kind of Eastern culture has bled a lot more into our culture recently, and
Yeah. Yeah.
especially the youth, and tapping into that and kind of making a connection with that style of. I would almost refer to those Ring of Honor days as almost superhero wrestling. That's kind of what it, you start a match
Yeah,
with a power bomb and you end it with six or seven, six spots before you get
yeah,
to it.
dude,
It's
it
very
was
different than what
crazy.
I was trained with and watched growing up, but then it's what I
Yeah,
watched when I was getting into it. So I get
yeah,
that.
yeah. Like Joe versus Kobashi, for example,
Hmm.
insane. It was insane, and just the way the crowd was, the atmosphere and stuff like that. I was like, that is what the Carolinas needs. The Carolina scene needs this. We need a place where our talent can shine in front of a crowd like that. Because for us wrestlers, I mean, no crowd, it's like, what are we doing? It kind of feels like we have no purpose, you know?
Yeah, it's
So,
It's why I stopped wrestling when I did, because the pandemic came in. I had been invested in the career for a total of 11 years actively by the time the pandemic was a thing, and there was no audience. There weren't even
yep.
shows. I moved to Raleigh during the pandemic. My roommate and I had went to a restaurant to order some food. We had just moved in, and they came in and told us that they were going to be closing early today. We're like,
Um,
okay, yeah, because of the pandemic, for how long? They're like, indefinitely. They're shutting the whole city down. So we like just got there and everything's shut down. And it's just it's amazing to see like what was the end of it for me became the beginning for you and your generation. And now you guys are doing new
yeah.
and exciting things, and I'm just here for it.
Yeah, man. There was, I mean, there was Deadlock that came out of the pandemic era right after, and they were a very hot company as well. And they brought a hell of an atmosphere themselves.
Hmm.
So, you know, I just I just got I feel like Free Flow has a lot to live up to with the way we're trying to present it and push it out there. So it's gonna
Yeah.
be hard work, but
So, what would be? I know that you guys don't have, or you're not at least ready to announce the arenas that you're going to be participating in, locations as of yet. But do you have a general region that you're going to be shooting for? Because I hear Carolinas. I'm
yeah.
I'm a Carolina guy. I love Carolina wrestling. Like, what are the
Yeah.
areas you're hoping
So
to get into?
um mainly around North Carolina. Currently we're based in Greensboro. So within the Triad area, High Point, Winston, and Greensboro area, we'll be trying to be around that area. Currently we're looking at downtown Greensboro at the Pearl is the name of the location. It's
Okay.
it's a very nice place. Expensive though. That's one thing I'm noticing is that it's not easy to put this stuff on, especially with the expenses. So
Yeah, so I've run three shows myself. Um, and I've worked with several promoters, so I have an idea of the challenges that you're having to jump, and they're not easy. There are a lot of professional wrestlers out there that I've heard criticize, but have never experienced what it's like to actually have to get all of those logistics together to
yeah,
put something like that on the map.
yeah,
Um,
it's a lot.
it's it's a whole different story, right?
Makes your head ache, dude. Like,
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah, so you have a team behind you, or is it just you and a partner right now?
So I would say it's mainly me. I do have another partner that is, I would say, basically the co-booker, co-owner, whatever you want to say there. That this was born with. But as far as a team, I guess I'm kind of building that as we go. Um, we'll probably be teaming up with the Superjaw production team. They've worked for Deadlock, Firestar, Ashe, different places. But at the moment, it's mainly a 1 to 2 man job. So
Yeah, you got quite the feat. I know exactly what you speak of. I was I was a one-man team when I was running it originally, and I was working like 50 to 60 hour weeks on top of it. So I completely understand the challenge. And when this is all concluded, I'll stay in touch with you through text and I'll offer some experience advice,
Yes,
because I would love
please.
to
Greatly
see you
appreciate
guys
it.
grow. And please make sure that anything that you do get as far as flyers, videos, whatever, we're building this community to support professional wrestlers. We're building it to support people of faith. And we're building it to give people an opportunity to, if they have questions in their faith or struggle, a place that they can go to try to work those out without feeling like they're getting attacked. Because I feel like that is a
Absolutely.
huge, huge issue right now. Um,
Oh yeah.
Even within the faith, which is
Yep.
to be expected from the enemy. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. His number one weapon is division among the children of God. I will
Yes.
say that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, yeah, brother, I love that. So, what shows do you personally? Where's Morgan Dash going to be wrestling next? What are some of the big things on your personal plate as you try to A, push your career, and B, survive promoting?
So this weekend I have Blood, Sweat, and Tears wrestling in Connecticut. This is my debut in Connecticut. I'll be teaming up with Bojack and BK Westbrook. We're taking on Miracle Generation for the third time. My like fourth time, I think. I've lost count. Um, Forget the other man's name. Oh no, it's slipping my memory right now. Great. It's a six-man tag match though. So,
Yeah,
but after that, I have Apple City Championship Wrestling, in Hickory, on May 9th. Yes, May 9th.
excellent. Yeah,
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yep.
So I'm familiar with ACCW more than Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I was familiar with Blood, Sweat, and Tears, um, but when I was trying to put the wrestling app together, we had communicated with hundreds of federations, and ACCW was one of the ones that stuck out as um, just top grade production, top grade talent, really respectful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a
They're
big
amazing.
fan of ACCW.
I
Um,
love working for them, man. They're fun. Love
yeah,
them.
yeah. So definitely, well, I'll make sure to try to get in touch with the promoter Nick. I get some of their stuff and try to cycle it through our socials as well. Anything else exciting you have going on you want to share so that people can kind of keep track of what you're doing?
Hmm. Other than, my own shows, really just trying to keep people uh in tune with free flow and things like that. That's as big as I have going on at the moment.
Oh, that's perfect.
Unfortunately.
Well, let's switch gears just slightly. I'll stay on the wrestling subject for just a moment, but we'll talk about the big leagues. I would be interested to know what exactly gets you excited about professional wrestling on what would be the higher level. Are you currently tracking the WWE product? Are you currently tracking AEW, or is your mind all the way over in Japan? Like, what is going on as a fan? Which is, of course, what gets us to the point to where we work in the business.
Yeah. Honestly, I kind of watch a little bit of everything. Like I watch indies, AEW, WWE, TNA, like. But I guess my main thing, my favorite stuff is Japanese wrestling. That's above everything else my favorite wrestling. Um, I was telling you about how Osprey inspired me to, really start wrestling, but people don't know that Misawa is my goat, bro. Like that's my goat. So, the older Japanese matches, that's what I really be watching, like a lot.
Yeah.
And it's probably unhealthy, but it's okay.
Unhealthy to watch it so much, or unhealthy because Japanese strong style is not a joke?
Because it's not a joke, and it
Yeah.
makes me want to, have matches where I'm dumped on my head like 30 times in 5 minutes, and yeah. So probably not a good influence, but
Yeah, I know, but I get it. I get it. The DDTs and the pile drivers were my favorite finishers. You know,
Right.
I did a lot of submissions and suplexes, but at the end of the day, like to me, the way to finish the match is drop them on their head, you know, safely,
Tiger Driver
obviously.
91, baby. Yep.
Yeah. So if you were to have a dream match, who would it be?
Ooh. Well, I would say probably I can give you three that I would love to have. Number one being
Okay.
Will Ospreay. That's the main inspiration for me starting and being a high flyer. Um, Number two, I would say AJ Styles, but unfortunately he's retired.
It's a
So
dream match.
yeah, it's a dream
We'll
match.
pull him
So
back for one
you
more.
know, and Kenta.
And Kenta. All right. There you go.
Yep.
That's good stuff. Okay, and then let me get you to weigh in on a theological subject right now. Let me just
Okay.
kind of get your thoughts on where you're at. And this is not putting you in a position of debate. This is just kind of seeing where other believers are at with the concept of the rapture.
Right.
Are you in a pre-tribulation camp? Do you see the mid-tribulation, post-tribulation? And most interestingly, I've seen two and three rapture theories in recent days. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, brother.
Like a storm that starts pre, hits mid, and ends post. Like there's waves of it. So I would love to get your
That's
thoughts on this deep theological debate that is starting wars between the
yeah.
theological
So
community.
let me say this as a huge disclaimer because it starts wars. We are not to argue over scripture. Um, this is in scripture, matter of
Yeah,
fact. Um, but I am a post tribulation believer more so because it seems to me that the scriptures point to that the most. And like, especially given the verses, hold on. Jeez, with the children screaming in the background too.
it's okay. We don't hear them. So,
Most people like to bring up First Thessalonians 4:16, if I'm not mistaken. And they're like, so this means that we're going to be raptured up before the tribulation. And so I'm like, how? And the reason I ask that is because when you look at this and you combine this with Matthew 24:29 to 31, I think it is. When you read it, Matthew, then Thessalonians, it's like, okay, so it tells us when his return will be. Not to a T. It doesn't mean we know exactly, but it says immediately after the days of the tribulation of those days. Something along the lines of that. It's saying after this tribulation,
right,
these things will happen, and then the Son of Man will return. The Son of Man will return with his angels. The dead will rise first, and then he will send his angels to gather the elect, and so on. And so it's like, okay, if it says that, then like, why would I think before tribulation? And so I started going deeper. And I saw the question being asked, like, okay, well, we're not, you know, we're exempt from his wrath. And I was like, right, you're absolutely right. But the tribulation where Christians are persecuted and things like that, that's not God's wrath. So we're exempt from that. That's just kind of like where my head was with all of this. And I kept diving into the scriptures and I came across Second Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 1 to 3. Uh and it was just like kind of backing what I was getting to, start to believe. And what that one was saying was that uh they want us to have no one deceive us by saying, or anything of this nature, by saying that the day of Christ is at hand. And so I was like, what's the day of Christ? So I had to go find out what that was and, things like that. And I was just like, wow, I grew up thinking that at any second, just stuff was about to start popping off. And I wouldn't know what to do. And it terrified me. It terrified me as a kid.
Hmm.
And uh I mean, honestly, I feel like that I, has scared some people away from even wanting to know more from what I've encountered with speaking with people. It's they've told me like that's scary. They don't even want to like talk or think about that. So it's like
Yeah.
it scares them away entirely.
Yeah, no, I think eschatology, end times, biblical prophecies can tend to scare a lot of people away, especially if
Absolutely.
it's not presented patiently and with love. It is very uh, unfortunate that a lot of people have in the past used it as a scare tactic to try to get people into the faith, and
Yep.
that's counterintuitive to what the faith itself is supposed to be. Uh, I, we've got about 9 minutes left, so I'm not going to dive too deep into it. But I've agreed with you most of my life, and have studied the rapture on several different occasions from the perspectives of pre and post, and I think that logically speaking, I've always landed in a place of the post tribulation coming in the Son of Man.
Yeah.
The hiccup that I have is that, and I do see some merit to the alternative argument of pre-tribulation. And if you were to look up William Pope on YouTube, um, his theory of the three raptures, while I've never heard it before, makes makes some significant sense the way that he presents it. I would highly recommend you check out the video. But when I was uh, in 2000. I had a prophetic dream about the rapture. And it was pre-tribulation. And for it to be pre-tribulation in the dream makes me question the logic versus the heart. And so I'm not ruling anything out at this point. That's why I reach out and I'm getting the opinions of
It,
others, because I don't think
it's
we should argue,
crazy.
but we should
Yeah.
discuss. What's
That's crazy because I had a very similar dream, but it was nothing great. It was like 8 seconds. It,
right?
it was so fast. Um, and like I finished the thought in my head that I was
Hmm.
making during the dream as I was rising up out of bed. I was like, what just happened? Because like so to note this beforehand, I felt like no fear, nothing. I didn't feel anything.
Right.
It was almost like when you're falling in a dream, that feeling you get, it wasn't there. So all I remember was being in an alleyway, looking around, expecting something. And then I just start floating into the sky. And I'm like, oh, this is one of those. I hit the clouds,
Yeah.
dreams as I'm waking up. I'm like, what just happened? I was like, bruh, that was weird. And so then I started seeing these things about post tribulation rapture. And it was just like pulling. It was like, come on in. There's something you need to learn. And so I dove in head first.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if mine is, I guess now that I think about it, I felt at the time that it was pre-tribulation, but now you talk about the dream itself, I'm not sure. Because the only thing that I remember
Yeah, I
from
couldn't
that dream,
tell.
and again, it was really short, there was fire basically all over the place, like cities, mountains, and there was a blonde gentleman with glasses. I've never seen him before, and I've never seen him since, that was dying. And for whatever reason, that was the moment that trumpets, and then immediately I'm just there with my family and others right in front of Jesus. And he hugs me, and I feel the peace and have ever since. I mean, this was like 2000s, and I'm 43 now. So we're talking like, 26 years. that this has been in the back of my mind. So like
Yeah.
there's something to it, and whether it's post or pre, I don't know, but I do love to get the other perspectives.
Right.
And I do suggest checking out William Pope's because he makes a comparison of the only three people in the Bible that are technically raptured. The first one being
Yeah.
Enoch, who was
Yep.
brought into the heavens, and then
Elijah.
Elijah,
Yep.
and then Jesus after
Yep.
his resurrection. And he calls to the parallels of those three examples being kind of Bible code to three raptures through the end times. It's a
Hmm.
um, fascinating theory. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. We're still digging into
Right.
it, but
Right.
a fellow believer and a fellow dream. I love to hear that.
Yep. One thing I can say is we'll all find out. We
Yeah,
gonna
yeah, we
find
will.
out.
But I don't think that people should be fearful of it. And I was
Yeah.
talking to my wife about it earlier today. We were talking about eschatology and the rapture. And if it's pre-tribulation, and you're a person of faith, there's nothing to be afraid of in that particular case
Yeah.
because you're getting called up, right? That's like the best kind of escape button that could exist. It is literally the ark before the flood kind of
Yep.
situation. If it's mid-tribulation, it's relief. If it's post-tribulation, God brings you through whatever tribulation is in front of you. If you keep your eyes on Him, it doesn't matter how bad the fire is, how hungry the lions are, or how wicked the people around you, He will guide you through. And if you can find that faith, there's really nothing to be afraid of. And the
Oh
end of
yeah.
the end is a win, right? Because then all things are made new.
Yep. And there's this verse that says, "Those who endure till the end shall be saved." Before
Yeah,
we
no,
close up here, there's a little verse I want to give you for food for thought.
yeah, please do.
Uh, Let me find it really quickly.
Yeah, you're good. We've
It
got we got
is.
3 minutes. You're good.
It's in Matthew 24. It is verse uh, 50. 50 what? Oh, I'm sorry. It starts at verse 44. So Matthew 24, 44 to 51. So verse 44 to the end of the chapter in
Okay.
chapter 24. Um, I read through that bit and it just reminds me of the people that just conveniently believe in pre-tribulation stuff. So I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, one way or the other, things are ramping
Oh
up,
yeah.
and it's just a good time to have the faith either way. But I'm
Yep.
I'm very excited about your career, Morgan. I'm very excited about Free Flow Wrestling and seeing more of what
Oh
you
yeah.
have there. And I'm hoping that we'll have the opportunity to have you back as we continue to expand into lives, into roundtables, eventually debates. But I'm going to referee. I'm not going to pick a side. But
Real.
I want to keep it clean because I feel like people like to play dirty during debates. And I
Yeah.
think this is about intellectual honesty and finding the truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so would definitely look forward to having you back. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well.
See you guys next time.